Hi, welcome to Dirt and Trail. Today we're finally able to do a proper first impressions review now that we've actually got the Honda 300l in front of us. We collected them from our local dealer last week. We have a video on that, so do check it out. And believe they are two of the first in the UK. So today we're going to go around the bike, discuss the changes we can see, and give a brief overview on our first impressions. So a bit of history first. The bike has been bred from the Honda 250l, which has been in production for nearly 10 years, which is testament to how well the bike's been received and sold. We'll get to the finer details shortly on the new one, but in short, the 250's been around the world with Steph Jevons, for example, and generally seen as a do-all type of machine. So fast forward to the 300l for 2021, and here it is. As said, it replaces the 250l. It feels like Honda listened to us, the riders, and are responding to the market, as well as having to comply with Euro 5 emissions. I'm hopeful it's the former that's true, so we'll go with that. Let's do a basic run through. So first of all, the price. At a shade under 5k, this is exceptional value, we think, which also includes the 2-year warranty from Honda. So the looks, generally, the bodywork all round is completely new. The tank is a different shape. It's smaller around the legs, so feels much thinner and more movable. It's the same 7.8 litres, which equates to about 76 miles per gallon by my very rough maths, around about just over 150 miles. So as I said, it's slimmer at the knees, and the other panels are all new, including the seat and the fenders. And I even quite like the new graphics. Really love the black rims. So onto the finer detail, the TFT screen, which does now include a gear indicator, which is really useful. The fuel gauge on the left, and switchable ABS front and rear button just on the right there, which can be done on the go, which would be really useful when out on the trails. The plain Honda controls, the slightly cheap bars and grips, but does have new mirrors. The radiator is now on the right hand side, which means that the horn and coolant reservoir are now on the left, protected nicely by some plastic trims. We've got new shower forks that have got 10mm extra travel, and the shock also gains 20mm of travel. So onto the engine area, you'll see there's definitely space for a bash plate where there currently isn't one. The power, so it's up from 24 to 27 horsepower, which is about 10%, and the torque is 16.5 foot-pounds up to 20, peaking slightly lower revs, which although doesn't seem much, is near a 20% increase, which should feel much better in real terms. It also has the 6th-gear overdrive, which is supposedly good for 82 miles an hour. We will see. The frame and the swing arm is 25% less rigid, as you can see here. It's definitely on the thinner side, so should be notable when riding, which also equates to being 4 kilograms lighter. So we'll see how that feels in our first impressions video coming soon. It is all one piece now, which includes the subframe, which is welded to it. So that could be an issue for some, but it certainly feels more like a motocross bike than a dual sport bike when pushing it around. The ground clearance has risen 30mm, I believe, to 285mm now, and retained the seat height, which is 880mm, which for me fits just fine, and also for Andy, who's 5'9", and as you can see with small legs, he can seat both feet on the floor. That has meant that it's got slightly longer, which may mean it feels more stable at speed. The pegs are also lower and further back, so that should suit taller riders better. such as myself, and they're also wider too, which is always a help, especially when spending lots of time stood up. It doesn't get the bar weights or the rubbers in the footrest though, like the Rally does. We may see if we can get hold of these to see if they're worth it. Onto the exhaust, which is fairly quiet. It's certainly louder than the 250L was standard, but people will be able to hear you coming, but it's certainly not intrusive. It has the 4 luggage bolts here, which is a nice touch, so easy to fit a rack or whatever luggage options you choose. It has the rear tool pack, which doesn't have that much space inside. However, behind the left-hand number panel, there is lots of room to put chargers, USB devices, etc. So a really good place to make the most of. The tyres are wrapped in the 21 inch 18-inch combo with IRC trails. They feel quite soft, so hopefully that will feel good when riding. The sprockets are 14 tooth on the front and 40 on the rear. Very small on the rear, which may equate to the supposed 82 miles an hour top speed. A nice little touch is a tape gap in the chain guide, so you know exactly where to measure the chain from to get the 50 to 55 mil slack that's needed. Really useful when you're riding and on the go. There are also the rear pegs for those rare occasions. Really looking forward to seeing how the assist stroke slipper clutch fares. I've not ridden a Honda with this before, so will be interesting to find out. And staying on the clutch for a second, I'm not sure if it's the assisted function, and obviously it is new, but easily the lightest cable clutch I felt, and possibly even lighter than the Holy Grail KTM hydraulic one. Yes, I did just say that. The one finger option is definitely on the table if that's how you choose to ride. Onto the brakes, which are pretty much the same. They do have the self-cleaning wavy discs. Honda's quote, not mine. 256 millimeters on the front. The front headlight isn't LED like it is for the Asian market, but it is really bright, so can't foresee any problems. So that's it, our initial impressions and first look round. There are a few areas which I'd like to mention. The lack of suspension adjustment being at the top of the list. The suspension is really squidgy and soft, and so could be its biggest weakness and possibly the limit, and I'll be interested to find out where that limit comes. As I said, having a 296mm front brake disc like the Rally instead of the 2561 would really help stopping power. That could be considered. Obviously the exhaust. Handguards, definitely a good addition. Bash plate, in our view, an essential. Bar risers, or bars risers and grips. And also frame guards. There are lots of areas where the frame could rub, especially if wearing motocross style boots. So that's definitely something to consider. For us, the Honda seems to make the least amount of compromises. It's just as capable off-road, but can now do 80 miles an hour plus, for example. It hasn't got the performance of a KTM, but it's also not far off half the cost to buy. We feel it's the best all-round bike, which is accessible to anyone from beginner to experience, and we'll be showcasing exactly that in our future videos on the trails. If you do have one, let us know what you think. Thanks for watching.